Yes, sir. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass. Happy Hanukkah. Every December, this outrageous line reawakens a very specific feeling. That familiar mix of nostalgia, chaos, and laughter that only Clark Griswold can bring. Since its release in 1989, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation has become more than a movie. It's a holiday ritual. Families gather, the opening credits roll, and for the next 90 minutes, everyone laughs at a man whose only dream is to give his family the perfect Christmas and who fails spectacularly at every turn. But what most fans don't know is that the film's journey from script to screen was as messy, unpredictable, and heartfelt as Clark's holiday itself. From a dead squirrel to real earthquakes, from studio fights to frozen sets, this is the true, untold story of how one of the greatest Christmas comedies ever made almost fell apart behind the scenes. So, pour yourself some eggnog, untangle those lights, and join us as we explore 15 incredible secrets and wild stories from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Part 1. How the Chaos Began. A forgotten short story becomes a classic story. Before the snow, the lights, and Cousin Eddie's RV, there was simply a short story written by one of America's most beloved comedy writers, John Hughes. In 1980, before he made The Breakfast Club or Home Alone, Hughes published a short story called Christmas 59 in National Lampoon magazine. It was the tale of a suburban dad trying and failing to host the perfect Christmas. The story was funny, touching, and painfully familiar. Hughes took that story, dusted it off years later, and expanded it into the full screenplay for Christmas Vacation. He even left a secret reference in the film. When Clark watches old home movies in the attic, one of the reels is labeled Xmas 59. It's a direct nod to the original story, a private thank you from Hughes to his younger self, the director who walked away. When Warner Brothers greenlit the movie, the first director attached wasn't Jeremiah Chechik, it was Chris Columbus, a young filmmaker looking for his big break. But his first meeting with Chevy Chase didn't go well. Chase, already famous from Saturday Night Live and previous vacation films, barely looked up during their meeting. Columbus later said, "It was like talking to a wall." After 2 strained encounters, Columbus realized the project wasn't right for him and walked away. That single decision changed movie history because Hughes felt bad about it and immediately handed him another script he'd been developing. That script was Home Alone. So in a strange twist of fate, Chevy Chase's bad attitude helped give birth to one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time, just not this one. Part 2. The House of 25,000 Lights. The Real Griswold House. Clark's house, glowing under a blanket of lights, became the ultimate symbol of suburban Christmas excess. But here's something few know. It wasn't a real family home at all. The Griswold house sits on Blondie Street, part of the Warner Brothers Ranch in Burbank, California. And if you think it looks familiar, you're right. It was once the home of Samantha Stevens from the classic TV series Bewitched. Hollywood reused it again and again for shows like The Partridge Family and Bewitched. By 1989, it had been remodeled, but the bones were the same. So when Clark Griswold climbs that roof, he's literally climbing onto TV history. 25,000 lights. And a real electrical nightmare. The film's most famous scene, Clark plugging in the house lights, required 25,000 real bulbs. That's not a visual effect. The art team installed 250 light strings, each with 100 bulbs, running through every inch of the facade. Every evening, electricians had to test each string by hand to make sure they worked. When they didn't, Chevy Chase got the perfect chance to improvise his frustration, punching plastic Santa decorations, cursing at the fuse box, and nearly breaking his knuckles on set. That scene introduced a new term into pop culture, the Griswold house. Today, if you drive past a home covered in an absurd amount of lights, you'll hear someone say they went full Griswold. It's part of our language now, a legacy of Clark's chaotic dream of the perfect Christmas. Part 3. Chaos on set. The real squirrel that died, and the madness that followed died. The crew had trained a squirrel for weeks to perform one of the funniest scenes in the movie, where it jumps from the Christmas tree and sends everyone screaming. The squirrel knew its cues. It could run across furniture, leap onto a specific prop, even sit still for the camera. Then, just one day before filming, the animal suddenly died of a heart attack. The cast was devastated, and production faced a dilemma: rewrite the scene or improvise. The animal trainer made a bold choice: bring in an untrained wild squirrel. When the cameras rolled, the chaos was instant. The squirrel launched out of the tree, sprinted across the set, and sent the cast into real panic. Every scream from Beverly D'Angelo, every shout from Chevy Chase, all genuine. Even the family dog's chase was unrehearsed. For the rest of the day, the set descended into confusion. Lights crashed, props broke, and crew members dove out of the way as the squirrel ran wild. The director decided to use it all. Later, for close-ups, they replaced the animal with a stuffed prop, and if you look closely, you can spot the difference. Chevy Chase later joked that the squirrel was the most natural performer in the entire cast. That spontaneous disaster became one of the funniest, most iconic moments in the film, born entirely out of real chaos. The cat that shocked the studio. The second animal scene almost didn't survive studio censorship. Warner Brothers executives were nervous about the sequence where the Griswold family cat bites into a Christmas light cord and gets electrocuted. Test screenings would decide its fate. But when the lights dimmed and that fake cat went poof into smoke, the audience erupted in laughter. The decision was made: the cat stayed in. To make the gag safely, special effects teams built a lifelike puppet, complete with whiskers, fur, and an internal heating coil that produced smoke on cue. The American Humane Association was on set to supervise, ensuring that no real animals were harmed. The charred rug, the blackened shape, the shocked faces, all comedy magic, built with craftsmanship and dark humor that defined the movie's edge. Part 4: Snow, Sweat, and Cold Feet. A Christmas movie with no snow bug. When filming began in Breckenridge, Colorado, the crew faced a problem. There was no snow. The film's schedule couldn't wait, so they shipped in tons of artificial snow, a mix of foam, paper, and biodegradable materials. They laid it across lawns, trees, and streets. It looked perfect. Then, days later, nature struck back. A massive storm dumped over 2 meters of real snow overnight. The production froze. Trucks were trapped, cameras buried, and roads shut down. Crew members had to use snowplows just to move their equipment, creating a real-life Griswold-style disaster on location. But the end result? A perfectly authentic winter backdrop, the kind that can't be faked. Sometimes, chaos works in your favor. Part 5: Behind the Griswolds, the family and their secrets. In every vacation movie, the Griswold kids are recast. For Christmas Vacation, Juliette Lewis became Audrey, and Johnny Galecki played Rusty. Here's the fun twist. Juliette was 2 years older than Johnny. That dynamic made their sibling banter even funnier. The eye rolls, the sarcasm, the little moments of teenage embarrassment. Off camera, both young actors bonded with Chevy Chase, who treated them like his own kids. Decades later, they both said the film felt like one long, weird family holiday. The scene that never was. John Hughes originally wrote a touching father and son moment between Clark and Rusty, a quiet scene on the front porch, late at night, after everything had gone wrong. Chevy Chase wanted to film it, but young Johnny Galecki wasn't sure it fit the tone. He believed the scene might be cut anyway, and convinced them not to shoot it. Years later, Galecki called it his biggest regret. "I missed the chance to create something real," he said. A rare, emotional thread lost to time, buried under the laughter. Cousin Eddie, chaos personified. Then there's Cousin Eddie, played by Randy Quaid, the lovable, disgusting, eternally broke relative who shows up uninvited in his rusted RV. Quaid based Eddie's mannerisms on a real cousin from Texas, even down to the bizarre hand gestures and stammer. He reportedly stayed in character offset, unnerving the crew, but keeping the energy authentic. And that ridiculous white sweater with the black see-through dickie? Quaid's own idea. The moment he appeared on camera, Chevy Chase couldn't stop laughing. It stayed in the final cut. Eddie was supposed to be a side joke. Instead, he became one of the most beloved Christmas movie characters of all time. Part 6. Money, Music, and Mayhem. The Big Budget Comedy. In the 1,980 seconds, most comedies cost under $10 million to make. Christmas Vacation had a budget of $27 million, massive for its time. That money went into intricate stunts, elaborate set builds, real explosions, and thousands of practical light bulbs. The result? A comedy that looked like a blockbuster and earned more than $71 million worldwide. The soundtrack that never officially existed. Everyone remembers the catchy opening theme, Christmas Vacation, sung by soul legend Mavis Staples. But did you know the soundtrack was never released? Warner Brothers planned an album but canceled it last minute. Only a handful of promo CDs sold at Six Flags Magic Mountain ever existed. Today, that CD is one of the rarest movie collectibles worth hundreds of dollars to fans. Alongside Staples' song were classics like Bing Crosby's Mele Kalikimaka, Ray Charles's The Spirit of Christmas, and Gene Autry's Here Comes Santa Claus. Each one perfectly captured the mix of nostalgia and lunacy that defines the movie. Part 7. The chaos was real. The earthquake take. During the scene where Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany arrive, something truly bizarre happened. A real earthquake. It was minor, but strong enough to shake the camera. The director, Jeremiah Chechik, reviewed the footage and decided to keep it. The slight wobble adds an unintentional realism, a real tremor in the middle of the Griswold family chaos. It's blink and you'll miss it, but once you know it's there, you can't unsee it. Part 8. The Aftermath. The sequels that couldn't compete. After Christmas Vacation, studios tried to keep the franchise alive. In 1997, Vegas Vacation arrived funny, but not timeless. In 2003, Christmas Vacation 2 sent Cousin Eddie to a tropical island. It bombed. In 2015, the reboot Vacation starred Ed Helms as grown-up Rusty. It made money, but failed to capture the original's heart. Lightning, or in this case, Christmas lights, only struck once. Part 9. Why we still love it. So why does Christmas Vacation endure? Because beneath the slapstick, it's about something real. Clark Griswold isn't just chasing a perfect Christmas, he's chasing connection. He wants to prove that despite chaos, love and laughter can hold a family together. That's what John Hughes understood better than anyone. His comedies weren't about jokes, they were about people. And in that mess of tangled lights, angry bosses, and electrocuted cats, we see ourselves trying too hard, caring too much, and laughing through it anyway. So there it is, the truth behind the madness. A movie built from accidents, improvisations, and pure determination that somehow became a cornerstone of American Christmas culture. From the real squirrel that stole the show, to the snowstorm that nearly buried the set, to the heart that John Hughes poured into every line. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation reminds us that the best holidays aren't perfect. They're loud, messy, unpredictable, and unforgettable. So next time you turn on your lights and your fuse blows, just smile because somewhere, Clark Griswold is proud of you. This is Classic Hollywood, and we'll see you next Christmas. Is less than runtime, 26 minutes, at to 125 words minute, is greater than